I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your cattle market summary for the week ending November the 4th, brought to you in part by the International Brangus Breeders Association. Do you like structurally sound cattle? Unlike many other breeds, Brangus breeders haven't chased fads or selection for a single trait which negatively affects structural soundness. We encourage you to go Brangus. For more information or to find a breeder near you, visit gobrangus.com. Got a good shower and some pretty measurable rain in some spots in the Texas Panhandle and western Oklahoma, even up into the Oklahoma Panhandle and getting up into southeastern Colorado. That's big wheat country there, and so that's going to end up being a big boost for stocker prices coming up this week, and we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. You look at the board for the week last week, live cattle futures on December contract. Monday was down $1.02, Tuesday was up $2.20, Wednesday down 15, Thursday down $1.30, and Friday down $1.35 to end the week at 102.72 on the December contract, which was down 163 for the week. And you look at your feeder cattle on the January now. Monday was unchanged. Tuesday was that day that we had the big shot up there at $4.42. Wednesday was up 50 cents. Thursday down 2.17. Friday was down 90 cents to end the week at 117.85 for your January, which was up $1.85 for the week. Your November spot feeders are at 125.62. Your fat cattle, last week's trade through Thursday had 72,000 head, which is not a lot of trade. Did have a little dabble of trade on Friday there, same price, steady at 105, but that was pretty much your main price, was 105, especially in the Southern Plains. Last week, your range was from 103, mostly 104 to 105. The weighted average is going to be somewhere around 104.50 when it comes out here early in the week. On a dress basis, most all your sales are at 163, and the weighted average will be somewhere just short of 163 there, and then that's $1 lower for the week. But still had a pretty good trade, and the big reason that we didn't get more money last week was we had that huge negotiated trade the prior week, and that just set the Packers having a lot of cattle to get started with on top of their contracts and formulas and everything. But going deep into November, supposedly Packers don't have as many cattle tied up, not as many contracts and formulas to call on, so they're going to need cattle coming in here when we get into the meat of November, and especially up in the northern plains, they're going to need those good cattle, those cattle that have a lot of days on feed, and even if they are heavy, they need some choice carcasses. We're getting a pretty good spread on our box beef cutout values. Last week's the average of all sales for the week, choice carcasses were at 187.03, which was up $5.03, so had a really good week in the box beef cutout. Selects 173.43, which was up $4.73, but we got a $13.60 spread there between choice and select, and they're going to need those cattle. Slaughter was good again last week. 606,000 was estimated there, which was just 10,000 less than the big week we had the week before, and 42,000 more than the same week a year ago. But look at these cash feeder markets coming up this week. I think we're going to see a lot of good demand for stocker cattle because there was places that got over 2 inches of rain, and the wheat really needs it. I tell you what, it's got a good stand on the wheat, but it's been getting really dry because they haven't had any moisture to speak of in the southern plains there. But I mean, this is just what they needed, was to have a good soaker on this wheat, and because you can see how much better that the irrigated wheat is. Of course, it always is. It gets water, but it won't be long, just a few days, and that wheat will spark up, and it'll be so green you can't look at it, and get some good growth out of it. And guys have kind of been holding back buying their cattle because they were afraid that they were going to miss the low. They didn't want to buy cattle and then have them go back down a bunch more, and then the wheat started getting dry and they weren't really sure what to do. Well, now we know that we put our lows in here a few weeks ago and the market's kind of on the rebound here. They've got a lot more confidence to come in here and buy some cattle to turn out on wheat, especially now that they've got this moisture. That's enough to get them through until we get that till we get the really cold weather, and that's when you get your big gains, is from now that it's got consistently cooler and those cattle are easier to straighten up until it gets dead freezing cold there. From now until then, we've still got some decent weather. You get a lot of gain then, and then whenever the winter breaks and you get a little bit there early next spring, you get another big gain. And so they'll be coming in here, and you can bet those guys in the southeast, if they haven't already got their phone call, they'll be getting it early Monday morning, and so they'll be out in big demand and be flagging those cards and bidding against each other and shipping those light crossbred calves into the southern plains. Just get ready for that. But last week's cash feeders, your true yearling feeders and your big calves that got to go right on to feed, sold 3 to 7 higher across the nation. Your calves were $5 to $10 higher. They got a big jolt there too, and then they're going to get a bunch more coming up this week. But you look at a market on Cattle Market Central that gives a really good test of what some yearlings would bring. In South Coffeyville, Oklahoma on Friday, late Friday, about 9 o'clock in the evening, so all your week's trade had already been done, at 127 head in one string that come through the ring there, weighing 858, and they were true Okie type cattle, predominantly English, but colored up quite a bit. But 127 head weighing 858 at 131.85. That's a really good test of the market, and that's a lot higher than what your board is on that. So we should see those continue to gain all along here. But check out some upcoming auctions on DV Auction. Go on to Cattle Market Central and check all these markets out. Since I've been talking about that and inviting sale barns to join in with Cattle Market Central with an automated market reporting system there, especially if you're in an area or in a sale barn you don't get any market coverage other than what you pay for. You can sign on there with Cattle Market Central at no charge to you. Get your sale barn on there and get some nationwide or really worldwide coverage of what your market's doing. We've had several sale barns coming in and wanting to join our over 115 sale barns across the country that are members of Cattle Market Central. Be sure to check into DV Auction on this Monday evening, November the 7th at 6 o'clock Eastern. That's 5 o'clock for most of us here in the central parts. But you got the Virginia Cattlemen's Association tele-auction with 34 loads of weaned calves and yearlings. Cattle have all their shots. They'll be in load lots, and then you'll really like them. But check that out Monday evening. And that's your cattle market summary for this week, and we'll talk to you on Wednesday.